We don't suffer only because of what happened, but because we were never allowed to truly feel what happened. Inside every person is a hidden room filled with denied emotions, unspoken fears, and abandoned parts of the self. Society teaches us to perform strength, to hide sadness, to act like we're okay, even when our hearts are broken. Somewhere along the way, crying became weakness, and emotional numbness became the mask of success and maturity. Yet Jung asked us to stop running, to turn around and face the very shadow we were taught to silence. Could it be that the war inside us is not between good and bad, but between truth and denial? What if your anxiety is not the enemy, but a messenger trying to show you where you've stopped listening? Most of us are not in conflict with life, but in conflict with what we feel and what we believe we should feel. We were taught to think logically, rationally, and strategically, but never to honor the wisdom of emotion and intuition. According to Carl Jung, every human being carries a shadow, the rejected self, buried deep within the unconscious mind. The shadow is not evil. It is simply the part of you that was not allowed to exist in the light. It contains your grief, your rage, your vulnerability, your longing, and even your forgotten creativity. Thinking tells us to move forward. Feeling tells us to pause. Wisdom teaches us when to do both. When thoughts overpower feelings, we lose empathy. When feelings overpower thoughts, we lose direction. Wisdom is not choosing one over the other. It is listening to both until they speak in harmony. Jung believed individuation, the process of becoming whole, begins when we stop running from the parts we do not understand. The shadow only becomes dangerous when ignored. It becomes a silent saboteur, influencing actions we think are rational. Healing begins when you allow the mind and the heart to sit down at the same table. Thinking wants clarity. Feeling wants acknowledgement. The self wants peace, and that peace is found through integration. Ask yourself, what part of me have I exiled? What belief tells me I must reject my own softness? Many people suffer not because of their circumstances, but because they are at war with what they feel inside. The mind says, you should have moved on. But the heart replies, I am still holding the weight. When we ignore emotion, it does not disappear. It becomes stored in the body, influencing how we speak, act, and love. The key is not to silence emotion, but to learn its language, to feel deeply, yet interpret wisely. Jung taught that healing requires confrontation, a brave returning to the places within us we once tried to escape. This returning is not a regression, but an initiation into wisdom that no book or logic alone can teach. There is wisdom in tears, in trembling, in softness, if we are willing to listen without judgment. You do not need to destroy your mind to honor your heart. You need to teach them how to work together. We are not machines built only to think. We are souls designed to feel, reflect, and become. Emotions do not make us irrational. They make us human. They are bridges between our experiences and our deepest truths. To reject your emotions is to reject the wisdom that life itself is trying to teach you in silence. Most of us were not taught emotional literacy, so we learn to think instead of feel, to survive instead of live. But survival without integration creates emptiness, a success without joy, a life without real meaning. Carl Jung believed that true maturity comes when we integrate our contradictions instead of choosing one over the other. What you reject in yourself does not disappear. It grows roots in the dark and controls you from the shadows. Thinking alone can lead to arrogance. Feeling alone can lead to overwhelm. Wisdom comes from uniting them in conscious dialogue. The shadow is not the enemy of light. It is the doorway into your greatest transformation, if you have the courage. We all carry pain, but few of us take the time to sit with it, hold it, and listen. Healing is not about forgetting the past. It is about transforming your relationship with it through conscious awareness. Your shadow includes everything you were taught was unworthy, your tears, your tenderness, your raw and unfiltered truth. When you suppress your grief, you also suppress your capacity for joy, love, and deep connection with others. The child inside you still remembers every moment it was silenced, ignored, or told to toughen up. Individuation, as Jung described it, is not self-improvement. It is self-returning, self-accepting, and self-remembering. When you stop pretending to be only light, you become a more authentic vessel of wisdom and healing. You don't need to become someone new. You need to reclaim the pieces of yourself you left behind. The wound is the place where the light enters, not to erase the wound, but to reveal its purpose. What part of yourself are you still hiding to be loved, accepted, or deemed worthy? Emotional healing requires radical honesty. The willingness to say, I am hurting, and that hurt deserves my compassion. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to feel something completely, and not apologize for it. The thinking mind fears what it cannot control, but the feeling heart surrenders to what is real. Wisdom begins when you listen not only to your thoughts, but also to your body and your emotions. The unconscious becomes destiny when it is not made conscious. This is where shadow work becomes essential to freedom. The part of you that resists feeling is often the part that is most in need of your attention. Integration does not happen overnight. It is a lifelong dance between presence, reflection, courage, and compassion. Every time you choose to stay with your emotions instead of escaping, you strengthen your inner foundation. We cannot grow without friction, without contradiction, without the inner tension between what we are and what we deny. Your deepest wisdom will often come from the place you've tried hardest to avoid. The truth is, your vulnerability is not a flaw. It is the soil where authenticity and intimacy are born. Jung's path is not a quick fix. It is a soulful unfolding of what has always been hidden inside. What would it feel like to trust your feelings, not as facts, but as faithful guides to deeper truths? Logic can build a house, but emotion makes it a home. Together, they create belonging within your own being. Wholeness is not found in perfection, but in embracing everything that was once fragmented inside you. When thinking and feeling unite, we stop living in survival mode and begin living in conscious alignment. Many of us confuse healing with controlling life, but healing is about surrendering to life as it truly is. You will never be ready to heal. You only need to be willing to feel, to ask, and to return. Wisdom does not silence emotion. It translates it into insight, teaching you how to live with depth and meaning. When you understand your triggers, you understand your story. When you feel them fully, you reclaim your power. Beneath every emotional outburst is an unmet need, an inner child longing to be seen, heard, and loved. We become whole not by cutting off our past, but by embracing the parts of us that time could not erase. Stop asking if your emotions are valid. They are. Ask instead, what are they trying to awaken in me? To integrate the shadow is to end the war within, and begin the reconciliation between your mind and your soul. The self longs to be seen in totality, not just for your strength, but for your scars and softness too. Inner peace is not the absence of emotion. It is the friendship between your thoughts and your feelings. Jung reminds us, you are not just a thinker or a feeler. You are a soul on a sacred journey. Where wisdom reigns, emotion becomes a compass, not a curse, leading you home to your most authentic self. In the quiet of your being, when mind and heart no longer argue, the soul speaks, and you begin to listen. We are not here to escape the darkness, but to bring the light of awareness into it. Every emotion, no matter how uncomfortable, carries a key to the room where your healing awaits. Do not fear your sadness. It is trying to restore a part of you that has long been neglected. Courage is not found in hiding your truth. It is found in standing inside your truth with trembling grace. Even confusion has wisdom. When honored, it shows where your inner knowing has been clouded but not extinguished. Thinking says, fix it now. Feeling says, feel it fully. Wisdom says, be with it, and it will teach you. When you abandon your emotional world, you abandon the inner child who still waits for your return. The mind fears the unknown, but the heart knows it's the only place transformation ever begins. You are not broken. You are unfinished, a sacred work of art shaped by pain, beauty, chaos, and deep longing. When you integrate your shadow, You no longer fear your past, you begin to reclaim its gifts. The parts of yourself you think are unworthy may be the exact ones that carry your unique light. To heal is not to remove discomfort, but to grow strong enough to hold discomfort without losing yourself. You will never think your way to wholeness. You must also feel your way there, with courage and humility. The mind tries to plan healing like a checklist, but the soul heals through presence, surrender, and trust. Sometimes the breakthrough doesn't come from thinking more, but from allowing yourself to cry, collapse, and rise again. Integration is not about fixing, it is about welcoming. Even the unwanted parts have something sacred to offer you. Wisdom allows for contradiction. You can grieve and be grateful. You can hurt and still be healing. When your feelings are no longer enemies, they become allies, holding your hand through every internal storm. Trust that your nervous system knows what it needs. Honor its pace, its silence, its longing for safety. Jung teaches, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. But when you pause and listen, truly listen, you interrupt the unconscious pattern and choose a new path forward. You are not the voice of fear inside you. You are the one who hears it, holds it, and heals it. Your emotions are not distractions from your path. They are the path, patiently waiting for you to return. The greatest distance in your life may not be between you and others, but between your thoughts and your emotions. The mind creates logic, the heart creates meaning. Together, they create wisdom that can stand through any storm. Emotional numbness is not peace. It's self-protection that slowly turns into disconnection and inner emptiness. Healing does not mean erasing the past. It means learning to meet it with softness, understanding, and grounded presence. Most people fear feeling because they never learned how to hold themselves in the middle of emotional intensity. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to stop running from the questions within your soul. Jung's work reminds us, wholeness is born when we stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be honest. When your thoughts overpower your heart, life becomes a calculation. When your feelings overpower thought, it becomes chaos. Let your mind ask the questions, and your heart offer the wisdom your mind cannot always grasp. The soul does not speak in logic. It speaks in symbols, in dreams, in synchronicity, and in emotional depth. Jung believed dreams are windows to the unconscious, showing us what the conscious mind is not ready to face. The goal is not to silence your darkness. It is to illuminate it with curiosity, compassion, and conscious awareness. Your feelings are not random. They are responses to wounds that haven't yet been given space to breathe. When you learn to stay with your discomfort, you learn to stay with yourself, fully, honestly, and completely. Healing becomes possible the moment you stop judging your emotional reactions and start listening to their hidden message. Wisdom reigns when the inner critic becomes an inner guide, and shame turns into self-acceptance. The most profound healing occurs when you sit with your pain without trying to escape or explain it. The heart knows what the mind forgets, that your worth is not tied to performance or perfection. When you finally allow yourself to feel deeply, you open the door to loving more deeply as well. We cannot create emotional safety through logic alone. We create it through presence, empathy, and compassionate self-connection. You cannot be wise without being wounded. Your scars hold stories that wisdom turns into medicine. Jung's psychology asks you not to fix your darkness, but to meet it as a part of your humanity. The shadow is not asking to be exiled again. It's asking to be welcomed home. Integration is when you stop trying to destroy your shadow and start trying to understand its origin. The deepest healing comes from this truth. Nothing within you is unworthy of love or belonging. The voice that tells you to hide your emotions is not your truth. It is your trauma speaking. Reclaim your emotional world, and you reclaim your full human experience, raw, real, broken, and beautifully alive. There is no conflict between thinking and feeling where wisdom reigns, only dialogue, balance, and integration. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are exactly as you are meant to be. Wholeness is not gained by choosing the right side. It's gained by choosing to love the entire self. The mind's logic says, protect yourself. The soul's wisdom says, let yourself be seen. What if your sadness is not the end, but the beginning of your truest relationship with yourself? You cannot move forward while dragging a self you still reject. Integration means honoring every part of your story. Healing doesn't ask you to be fearless. It asks you to walk forward even when you're afraid. To be fully alive is to be willing to feel the entire spectrum of human experience without shame. You are not broken, you are breaking open. There is a difference, and that difference will transform your life. When your heart and mind listen to each other, you become an instrument of peace in a world of noise. Nothing inside you is against you. It's all trying to protect you in the only way it knows. Your emotions aren't obstacles to your growth. They are the signals pointing directly to where growth is most needed. Trust that your heart's voice is just as valuable as your mind's, and often far more truthful. You cannot awaken wisdom if you are unwilling to sit with the discomfort of emotional honesty. The unconscious is not a place of danger. It's a place of forgotten truth, buried in fear and silence. The mind can explain the past, but only the heart can forgive it. Wisdom reigns where there is harmony, not hierarchy, where thought and feeling are allies, not adversaries. What if your greatest wisdom is already inside, just waiting for you to stop doubting and start listening? You don't need to fix everything. You need to feel everything. And through that feeling, your healing unfolds. You are not meant to walk through life numb. You are meant to be radically awake to yourself. The most courageous act is not pretending you're fine, but admitting you're human and still choosing love. Jung's invitation is this: stop striving to be perfect and start striving to be whole. Let the part of you that thinks learn from the part that feels, and let the part that feels trust again.